been a long time since the last time I did live stream. I was basically just very busy with a lot of stuff that I needed to finish. I was finishing a course for CG Boost, and then of course I was doing the whole business of changing the style of Heroes of Bronze, trying to create a new teaser in that style, which I actually released a month ago to some really good reception. But first of all, hello everybody, good to see you in the chat. There is already some activity there, and I just want to let you know that I will be answering questions a little bit later. If I see something related to the questions that I'm showing on the screen currently, I will answer those questions. First, I wanted to talk about the project and answer some of the frequently asked questions. So here goes. So first question, the most common one is of course, is it a game or a short or a TV show? So Heroes of Bronze is many things, but my goal and my ultimate goal is to make it a TV show. Something like Blue Eye Samurai or the show Arcane. That's a high bar, I know, but that's the goal, and one can dream, right? I've been working on this for a long time now, and I think I'm closer to actually having a show funded than ever. The teaser that I launched in September 2025 was very well received, and there is almost 180k views now, or 70k views now, and 1,000 plus comments, which is amazing. And there's lots of, among those comments, there are a lot of them asking for this to become a show. So that's a very good sign. It seems that the audience is very much interested in a topic of ancient Greece and Greco-Persian wars. Yeah, I'm trying to make this happen. I will have to ask a lot of producers, maybe contact some TV production companies. All of this is quite new to me. So I'm trying to do the best I can. I'm trying to contact my friends who know the business, know how to pitch such a show. I'm learning on the go, and this is going to be a long road ahead still. But I'm determined to really make this Heroes of Bronze TV show a reality. The historical period that I'm focusing on is Greco-Persian Wars, which is around 500 BC to 480 BC. Like a period of 20 years in which many famous battles were fought, from Marathon to Thermopylae and finally Plataea. So that's the rough time frame for my story. But of course the options for this project are infinite. So the main goal, as I mentioned, is TV show. But of course, if at some point in the future I got an opportunity to make a game in this world, that's of course a possibility for the future. But first, I have to keep my focus and really try to make this TV show a reality. The current state of the project is it's not done yet. I haven't even started production, to be honest. The teaser that I released some time ago was a proof of concept teaser, which basically means that I'm trying to pitch this idea to producers, and I'm trying to make this happen. But apart from visual tests and some early visual development and test animations that I made for the teaser, not much is done. I have the workflow ready, so if somebody gives me money to make this show a reality, I'm ready to build a team and really start producing it. But the finances will be the biggest problem. So that's what I'm currently working on, to secure finances and be able to build a team. I don't know where this will take me, but I will try my hardest to really retain the goal with this project and to make it as historically correct as possible, and to really stay true to these teasers that I already published, and also the memory short film. All of this that I've published is still the same story. The characters are the same. I haven't changed anything from the first concept of the story. I actually wrote the first part, or you could say the first season, in form of a book, which I'm now currently translating into a screenplay format. So that's my biggest goal right now. And I'm also building a pitch. It's basically like a PDF presentation for anybody who could fund my project, and I have to do my best to present it to producers. So yeah, that's the current state of the project. Nothing is done, but in the moment I get some funding for it, I can start making it quite quickly. This is a common question, but before I answer it, I will actually have a look at the chat. Minecraft Cubing 6567 says that this needs to be a show. That's always so nice to hear. Something that keeps me going. So thank you guys. There is another question from KH-. Are you interested in other topics or are you focusing on Greece only? I'm focusing on Greece only. This is a humongous project and I will have enough trouble trying to finish this one up. And Greco-Persian Wars is really the period that I love the most. So I'm focusing just on this story and making it a reality. Rafael Umdos is asking, is it mythological or just historical fact? And congratulations on your work. Thank you, sir. And this is just history, but since my main source for this story is, of course, Herodotus. He lived almost in that same period, so I'm respecting this source of information. I take a lot of it, but I also take it with a grain of salt, of course, because he also wrote about mythical creatures and gods, and I figured that I could somehow incorporate some mythological stuff in Heroes of Bronze as well. So primarily, this is a historical project, but not really purely historical. I aim to show how gods influenced people at the time. So definitely some slightly supernatural elements in there, or at least that's what I'm currently thinking about, how to add them, how to present them. So that's on the table. Which company would be the gold standard for picking up your series in your opinion? Well, I love Netflix for what they did with Blue Eye Samurai, but they also destroyed a lot of other shows because of pushing some historical inaccuracies. The Barbarians are the best example, because the first season was very good and it was kinda historically accurate. Not really, but you know, definitely the best I've seen at Netflix, and then they absolutely ruined it in season 2. And I would rather do this project on my own than have it ruined by producers. But also Prime is great for the quite violent, unorthodox shows that they do, because I want Heroes of Bronze to be quite violent. So yeah, I'm thinking about Prime, but then I see what they did with the Rings of Power and I get really scared. So I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure, and we'll see how the situation on the market of TV production companies actually develops, because there will be a lot of changes in the near future. So we'll see. So back to the questions that I have in this presentation here. Another one that gets asked quite frequently is, why Heroes of Bronze if not Bronze Age period? Meaning Heroes of Bronze and the Greco-Persian Wars are of course set in Iron Age, not Bronze Age. Bronze Age is more like the Trojan War, for example, so a lot earlier than what I'm showing in Heroes of Bronze. But the title is not supposed to mean Heroes of Bronze Age. It is meant as Heroes Made of Bronze, because especially at the period around 500 BC and the Battle of Marathon, lots of these guys were head to toe clad in bronze, and they almost looked like bronze statues. And that's not just Greek hoplites or Spartans and Athenians. Also, Persians wore a lot of bronze, especially bronze scales, and they glittered in sun, and they looked like something coming from a supernatural story. So I really like this title, Heroes of Bronze, but it's not. It's meant as if they were made of bronze. So that's the real meaning. I know that this may lead to some confusion, but I can't really imagine any other title at this point, to be honest. I'll think about it some more, but the longer this project goes, the less I can imagine changing the title. So that's the truth of it. Next question is, will the show be dubbed in Greek or Persian? It's on the table, but for the first version that I will try to pitch, not really. I'm going for British accent for Greeks and I guess Iranian accent for the Persians. Simply that's because it is doable. And having additional difficulty of having to find actors who know how to speak ancient Greek or ancient Persian, it just adds so much difficulty to the project, and I will have enough problems as it is. So yeah, I'm trying to make my life a little bit easier with this. Also, the chances of it having it funded in English are much higher than if I tried to have it dubbed in ancient languages. And the third reason is I am fairly confident how to direct actors in English, but I have no idea how I would direct actors in ancient Greek or Persian. So that's these three reasons are enough for me to not really go for this in this initial stage of the project. But I mean, in the future, if this gets done, I can definitely try to hire some actors who know these languages and try to do a different language variation. But that's after the TV show, or at least the first season, is done. First, I need to do a pilot, and that pilot will be in English. Next up, do I plan to depict the Persians similarly as in the movie 300? Absolutely not. Movie 300 is a movie based on comic book. It was quite fun to watch back in the day, but the more I learned about the period of Greco-Persian wars, the more I fell in love with the period, and the more I wanted to show it from both sides of the conflict and how it probably looked like, or, at least to be a bit more historically correct than 300. That's actually quite easy to be more historically correct than 300. So that's definitely my goal, to right the wrong that 300 movie made, basically. And also my characters will not be just one-dimensional heroes and villains. I have heroes on the side of the Greeks and also heroes on the side of the Persians. And in the story that I want to tell, I want to show their reasons and motivations for their behavior on both sides. Everything is shades of gray. Nothing is black and white, especially when wars come into play. So that's what I want to show you in Heroes of Bronze. And for example, lots of people already in the teaser that I showed recently, they were criticizing that the Persians, they land on the beaches of Marathon, and the first thing that a Persian character does is spitting on the ground and saying that that Greece is a shithole. But this specific character has a reason for this. They landed at the Marathon, at the beach of Marathon, which was basically at an area of a huge swamp. And if you've ever been in Greece in late summer, you know that these swamps stink terribly. So that's the first reason. And also this specific character, Benham, he hates Greeks. He hates them because his wife died, and he blames it on a Greek physician. And now he's saying that all Greeks are just liars, and he hates them. So that's his reason and motivation for what you could see in the teaser. And everybody in my story will have their reasons for why they're doing what they're doing. Some Greeks will join the Persians, and some Persians will be sympathetic with the Greek cause. So it was a rich world, and I want to show it as it was. And on topic of that, the theme of the story is anti-war. I was really surprised that my project, especially on Instagram, started generating a lot of culture wars under my posts. And one thing I wanted to mention is I absolutely do not tolerate these culture wars. Anytime I see somebody slandering other culture or trying to really bring up heat in the conversations, I restrict them or directly ban them, because that's not what this project is about. I want to show both cultures, and I want to bring them together instead of trying to heat up some culture war. So that's just a little side note. By the way, on the screen here, you can see where you can support the project. At the very least, you can subscribe to my newsletter, where monthly I try to write some interesting articles about what my project is going through, and maybe motivating you to make your projects as well. And of course, I have Patreon, which allows me to fund my actors, my music creators. So all that I earn at Patreon goes into my videos or into funding the various little jobs that need to be done around Heroes of Bronze. So thank you, everybody who decides to support the project. And now to the questions. Minecraft Cubbing, really proud of you for not willing to budge if a producer wants it to be more like the ahistorical shows they do. Yeah, that's one of the goals of this project. I really want to stick to what I started with, which was me really wanting to present as historically correct show as possible. Gaslight Studios rebooted. If it does become a hit, you might get more than a little clout on both sides of the Atlantic when it comes to animated filmmaking. I look forward to that. Well, I dread it a little bit, but I also look forward to it. I think it is very needed. I think the age of the extreme correctness, I think it's coming to an end, to be honest. We need more shows that will try to tell good stories again. So, yeah, I hope the age of good storytelling comes again and there will be no propaganda in your shows, or at least a lot less than there is currently. I'm not saying that I'm against the ideas of social justice movement. I'm just saying that the pendulum swung too far to the other side now. And we need to balance it in the middle and try to really stay faithful to history and do not revise it. So that's my opinion. Is this some sort of early Iron Age? Asks Traffic Cones. The age of Greco-Persian wars is early Iron Age. And it is the period where iron or metal weapons from iron, they started to be a lot more common. They started using lots of little parts of iron, but they weren't really that proficient at using iron just yet. So you could see a lot of combination between bronze and various other metals, and all of that combination together, especially in case of the Persians, gave rise to really like richly looking armors made from different materials. So yeah, bronze was still predominant, especially I think for armors, especially for plate armor. But you could already see some scale armors, for example, made out of iron. So it was really a combination at that point. But you cannot imagine something like in Middle Ages, because steel, I think they already knew steel a little bit, like an alloy or different ways to work with iron to make it more reliable and hard, but they weren't proficient at it yet, not for many hundreds of years still. So it was really a combination, and from what I know, I think the smaller stuff, blades and some parts of swords, they could be made of metal like iron, but for the armors predominantly, and especially helmets, they were still using bronze. Gaslight Studio Rebooted says Heroes in Bronze might be clear for what you mean to convey, but I don't like it. Yeah, it's a good point actually that you're making, so I'll take it into consideration. But Heroes of Bronze feels better than Heroes in Bronze. I considered it already. It was one of the variations of the title that I considered, but you know, Heroes in Bronze, it just sounds so great. Striček Skrblik, it's my countryman, and he says that he thanks for my courses at CG Boost. You can, by the way, take them as well. And if you want to learn about Blender and my techniques, I have courses at cgboost.com. My YouTube channel is full of those tutorials, so you can definitely have a look at that after this live stream. Triptild says, hey Martin, I love all the effort and love everything that goes into Heroes of Bronze, and keep it up. Thank you, sir. Glad to have you here. Gregor Glasson, a true pleasure to be there. Hello from France. Hello as well. Traffic Cones asked, wait, so this is about Greeks, both Greeks and Persians? They won't be straight up antagonists. Nope. The Persians will be the main characters as well. There's basically a main trio of characters. One is Nikephoros. You could see him in the Memory short film. Then there is Philippos. It's the guy without the eye that you could see in the recent teaser. And then there is Erinam. He's like a Persian nobility, but his family got really poor at the point of the start of the story, so he really needs to work to basically ingratiate himself into the king's service and build up his family's fortune again. So that's the third main hero of Heroes of Bronze story, and these three, they are friends, but they will become enemies through the course of the several seasons of the story. Their relationship is at the very heart of Heroes of Bronze story. Traffic cones, if I'm correct, 300 was never intentionally historical. It was based on some old comic. That's true. That's absolutely true. So it's important to take it as it is. 300 was based on a comic book, and I have no problem with that. And I like the movie. The problem is that popular culture, quite unexpectedly, took that movie. At this point, all that people around the world know about, like regular people around the world know about ancient history, is the movie 300. And that's a crime, because everybody imagines Persians to be these like almost monsters. Everybody imagines Spartans to be superhuman, who are just the good guys with no nuance in the story. So yeah, somebody needs to correct that. It didn't happen yet. I think it was like 20 years ago since the last good movie set in ancient Greece, and that was Alexander. And yeah, you could argue if that was a good movie. I watched it recently, and some parts of it are genius and some parts of it are really bad, so I still don't know how I feel about that movie. And it was a flop, financial flop. So ever since, everybody was afraid to do shows like that. There was of course the TV show Rome, but that's not ancient Greece, and even Rome, nothing like that happened ever since. Maybe the show Spartacus, but again, that's more like 300 rather than a historically correct account of Roman history. So yeah, that's it. So I would love to start a movement that will bring ancient Greece back on the TV screens. Free Artisan, are you aware of the paint system plugin for Blender? Made by another creator. I'm using some tools to make painterly projects on Blender of my own. Yes, I'm using the paint system in Blender. I haven't done a tutorial about it yet, but I definitely love it. In fact, recently I stopped paying Substance Painter because Adobe ruined it. Surprise, surprise. So yeah, I canceled my subscription and I started using various other options, all in Blender. And I think I've learned enough about Blender to basically be able to use it as Substance Painter. So that's great. I'm saving money. And the Paint System plugin is of course a great tool, so I recommend it to everybody. Leonidas Sparta. Hello, Adam. Nice to see you as well. By the way, everybody who doesn't follow Adam's channel, Leonidas Sparta, Fun History, it's one of my main sources of historical YouTube videos nowadays, and I really love to watch everything Adam does, so definitely subscribe to his profile as well. Eliptech says, Alexander was a fantastic movie. Yes and no. As I mentioned, it has its upsides, it has its downsides. I love the battles, but some of the choices for the actors, as well as some of the dialogues, were really weird for me, and I've always found myself being dragged away from enjoying the movie. So yeah, I wish it was a little better, but definitely one of the last good movies about that ancient period. That's for sure. Traffic Cones says Spartans in real life had fucked up ritual practices. Well, who didn't in the ancient world? It was really different culture. Funny thing, while I was studying the Persians, what occurred to me is that their culture was actually, at least when it comes to religion, it was much closer to Christianity than the Greek religion and culture was. Mainly they believed in one god, Ahura Mazda. And the more I learn about this, the more I realize that they had the same values that Christians do. So I definitely encourage you to learn more about this topic. And but still they had barbaric practices like punishing people by impaling them on stakes. And there was already crucifixion in Persian Empire. So some people commented under one of my Instagram posts that the Greeks came out with this tradition of putting like armor of the enemy after a successful battle onto a wooden cross, and that was the origin of Christian cross. That's not true. The origin of the wooden cross, where you put something on it, for example, a crucified person, was already a common practice in Persian Empire. And then the Romans just took it from the east. So these cultures always influenced each other, and one never knows what was the first culture to invent something. And Bulgar Burner asks, this is the first Greco-Persian war, right? Well, this is the only Greco-Persian war. There were two stages of that war, of course. So my story wants to cover the whole of Greco-Persian wars from the initial battle of Marathon, but I actually don't start there. The whole story starts at 500 BC. It's even before the Ionian revolt happened, because in 500 BC, the first island that revolted against Persians was actually the Naxos Island. And there, we cannot really explain what happened there, but the city of Miletus, Greek city of Miletus, made a big army together with Persians, and they wanted to reconquer Naxos. So there were Greeks and Persians fighting together against another Greek city. And there, the Naxians were able to defend themselves, and the Greeks from Miletus and the Persians, they had to leave the island. And this event is where my story starts. This is like a precursor of the whole Greco-Persian wars. Then it goes to the Ionian revolt, which is around 499 BC, and it ends around 494 BC. And this is where big battles of Ionians happened against Persians at the area of nowadays Turkey. And so that was the very start of the Greco-Persian wars. And only then did the war continued on the Greek mainland. So in 490 we have the Battle of Marathon, and that's already like a third season of my Heroes of Bronze story. So it will start much earlier than you're used to. It will continue through the first Greco-Persian war, and it will end at the events like Thermopylae and Plataea. So the year is 479. That's the time frame for the whole story. Made by Atrin asks, quick question, does the story writing and research usually take more time rather than the actual production? I would like to mention my historical advisor here, which is Chiara Torrisi, and she is with me from the very beginning. She influenced a lot of changes for my story. She gave me a lot of historical advice for how, for example, different cultures behaved at the time, and that influenced some changes in my story. So I have a historical advisor. I worked with her for like 4 years, I think, now. So it's one of my longest collaborations with somebody, and it's really great. I rely on her heavily, and I want to take her to the big Heroes of Bronze project if it really happens. It's not that I stop everything that I'm doing for the historical research. I research everything continuously. I constantly read books, and I constantly research images and architectural finds, and I try to put everything together into more and more artwork that I put mostly on my Instagram, but you can see all of that in my short films. So it goes hand in hand. Sometimes while Chiara is researching something and giving me material for what I want to create, I'm already creating some stuff that I'm fairly sure of. Bulgar Burner, will this be centered on epic action or historical accuracy? Because I'm an addict of Persian history, especially Achaemenid. I try to mix together both. The first reactions to the screenplay of the pilot for Heroes of Bronze was that the people who read it were very surprised that there's quite a lot of dialogue in there. They almost encouraged me to have less dialogue in there. So yeah, I need to work on that screenplay a bit more, but definitely relationship between characters and cultures are very important for me, and I dedicate a lot of time to those. But also there will be these epic scenes of big battles, famous battles from history, but also less known or even like smaller events like skirmishes at sea between various triremes. Battle charge asks anything about Armenians. Not really. The Greeks and the Persians are the main focus. I have some mentions of the Phoenicians, and I also have some Thracians in there, some appearances of Scythians, and that's basically it. I really try to focus on this story. Trafficone says, I really can't find good sources of specific topics of history online. Either I have to pay some membership or give up and use Wikipedia, even when there are possible lying editors. Yeah. Well, I recommend buying books. I have a whole library of historical books, and I can later put my book sources and my favorite authors in some of the comments under the video. So I'll definitely give my recommendations. Quetzalbert. What were the bases for choosing the protagonists? Emotional, historical, a mixture of both, or something else? I had to... when I started thinking about my characters, I started with two things. One was historical and geographical. It goes hand in hand. Nikephoros, the main hero, he lives in Athens, so it's the mainland Greece. Then we have Philippos, the guy without the eye. He lives in the middle, basically nowadays Turkey or the coast of Turkey, and he is from the city of Miletus, which is under the rule of Persians at the beginning of the story, and it's directly in the middle, basically a meeting point of those two cultures. And Erinam is, he is from Pasargadae, which is one of the older main cities of the Persian Empire. So this is a nice balance between the trio of the main characters, because I thought that this will be a good basis for a story and the influencing of the cultures. But also, I thought about various backstories that could be nice to have. And Nikephoros is pretty much an archetype of somebody who is always searching. He has family at home, he has little kids, he has a good wife waiting for him, something like Odysseus, because he has everything, but he always spends his time sailing abroad and getting to various adventures. So he is the adventurous type that can never stay at home. And that's his main character problem, his main flaw that he will be fighting with the whole story, basically. Then there is Philippos, and he is the archetype of a father. He loves to stay at home, he loves to take care of his family and his sons. And I asked myself, what if I had this character that doesn't really want to go to war, he just wants peace for everybody, and he is actually very pro-Persian. He likes the Persian culture, and he always tries to advocate for Persians, even when they're doing wrong. So I asked myself, what if I took away everything from such a character? Poor Philippos is a very much tragic character, and he will be reforged into something completely new in the course of the whole story. And then there is Erinam. It's this one on the right, not really visible here, but at the very beginning of the story, he is trying to carry out his family's legacy and try to bring it back to fortune. So he leads the family and he tries to be really as good a servant for the great king as possible. And he likes the Greeks. He knows Philippos, they're good friends, and he kind of likes the Greek culture. As opposed to his brother Benham, who absolutely hates them. And this is the conflict between the two brothers, who are always at odds for this specific reason. And so Benham always influences Erinam. Erinam tries to be as fair as possible and he likes the Greek culture, but gradually his opinion of the Greeks deteriorates throughout the story. So that's the core for these three characters, and throughout the storyline they will influence each other quite a bit. Another question, Free Artisan. Did you play Rome 2 Total War, and why is it your favorite game? It is. I've played it ever since it came out. I actually played Rome 1 Total War, and I started playing in day one. I spent many dozens and hundreds of hours in that game, and then when Rome Total War 2 came out, I of course started playing it, and I'm still playing it. Actually, 2 days ago I played it with all of those nice mods that came out ever since, and I absolutely loved that game. It was one of the influences for Heroes of Bronze, so definitely. If you like ancient history, you should play that game. Oh yeah, Traffic Own says, I mean, I don't think that what we saw on the concept trailer won't actually be on the final release. That's true. This is a proof of concept teaser. Lots of things can change, but the grow of the story, the basis of the story, and the various scenes, they will be there in this style. Maybe not like this specifically, but the story will take us there definitely. Lexastro asked, how much of the writing and storyboarding do you have done before moving to 3D? I have a habit of putting the cart before the horse sometimes. Well, I do too. The cart before the horse. Oh yeah, sorry. I do too. I sometimes like to jump directly into 3D work and just start creating my shots without any concept whatsoever. And usually those are the worst shots. So it's always great to have a concept. It's always great to have a plan and really work on some pre-production, or at least really think about what you want to depict. When I don't have a clear idea, I just improvise. It usually doesn't come out as good as it should. But sometimes, some shots, I have made them exactly like that, and they were one of the best shots I ever made. So it's kind of hard to say. For example, this one with the grass, that's kind of became the main graphical piece for the new Heroes of Bronze style. That one was improvisation, so it's always case from case, it differs. So I cannot say. Sorry, I tried. I really like the teaser's distinct style. Could you share how long it took to produce it? It took 2 months for me to learn this new style. So I was watching a lot of tutorials for 2 months, and then it took 3 months to make. So I started in June this year and ended up at the beginning of September. So very fast compared to my previous short film, The Memory. And it's mainly due to this change of style, because having realistic style was just so much more difficult to make. And I think it's not really necessary to tell the story. I think this painterly style is very well suited for telling what I want to tell. Bulgarburna asks, what are the names of the Persian characters? It's Erinam and Banam. I was told that Banam is not really a Persian name, but it is a variation of an ancient Persian, sort of variation on one of ancient Persian names. Erinam is a historical name, so that's the name of the main hero from the Persian side. Traffic Owns. I always wondered if they added real historical people on Greek mythology, just like how they turned Gilgamesh into an epic story figure. I'm not sure I understand the question totally, but the Greeks mostly tried to do this for their gods. So they tried to weave the various gods from the Greek pantheon into their real lives, and they really believed that gods like Zeus, Apollo, or Pan, for example, walked among them. So I think that even though they were very modern in their thinking, they really believed that the gods are among them, and especially in the archaic period. And there is actually this one passage, or this one part of Herodotus, the Histories, where he talks about the Battle of Marathon, and that at the eve of the battle, right before the battle, there were mentions that people could see the god Pan, the god, half person, I guess, walking amongst them and basically supporting them before the coming battle with the Persians. And that's something I would really want to depict in my depiction of the Battle of Marathon, some supernatural elements like this. So that's what I'm currently excited about how to depict this. Trafficone asks if I didn't like the Total War Saga Troy. It wasn't as good. I had fun with it, but it wasn't as good as Rome Total War 2. But yeah, I have like 60 hours in that game as well, so I'm not gonna say I didn't play it. Radio Man asks, how did you do the voiceover for characters and what was the budget? I'm not sure about the budget currently. I didn't prepare my numbers here, but I basically went to this page called Fiverr, and there I ordered voiceovers from various actors, and two of them, I think I've found a great match for two of my heroes, Nikephoros and Philippos, so I will be working with those actors further. I'm still looking for a voiceover actor for Arinam, so I need to find somebody with a good voice and nice Iranian accent, so we'll see. And Luciano Fotografia says, Heroes of Bronze have to be in every cinema in the world. I love your job and your taste for history. Hi from Argentina. Hi from Czech Republic. And thank you very much. I appreciate this. And yeah, I think that's it for the questions. I hope you had fun, guys. There will be more tutorials in the near future on my channel, but I'm really trying to focus more on the historical and story side of the project now. And let's hope this project succeeds, because I would really love to finish it. I would really love for this to become reality. My heart burns for this project. I love it the more I go on, the more I work on it. It's been more than 6 years now, I think more than 7 years. And I love it the more I work on it. So that's a good sign. And thank you everybody for being in the chat. It was great fun to answer the questions. And see you next time. Stay creative, my friends. Bye-bye.